So coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, a segment in which we look at why the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a disaster in 2023. They figure to be one of the key competitors to Philadelphia in the NFC East, but there are problematic and concerning trends for the Cowboys going into this year, which is why I think that they are going to be a dumpster fire. Number one, Dak Prescott is mid. He's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the National Football League, and last year, that was fully on display in the regular season and in the playoffs. And really over the last few years, as the Cowboys have paid Dak more money and he's thrown the football more, their offense has taken a step back because I don't think that he's a quarterback who's made and engineered to throw the football and have success by chucking it around the yard 30, 40, 50 times. He led the league in interceptions last year, and up to this point, he's not having a good training camp. And let's be real here. This would never happen for Jalen Hurts. None of Jalen Hurts' defensive teammates would ever go up to him in a practice and say, "Shut your bitch ass up." That's what Trevon Diggs did to Dak Prescott. And that is pretty telling for a couple of reasons. Dak Prescott is not as respected as Jalen Hurts is as a leader, as a player, and there are underlying frustrations that Cowboys players have with Dak because he's getting paid all this money and he's not rising up to the standard of being an elite quarterback in this league. And last year, him throwing the most interceptions in the NFL was a big example of that, but he's continued to come up short in big moments and remind me when Dak Prescott came through in a clutch spot. 66% completion percentage last year, almost 2,900 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 picks. Dak Prescott was awful in making good decisions with the football, and he held this offense back, no doubt about it. And I'm not sure that the change in play caller is going to benefit Dak Prescott. Kellen Moore is out. He went to the Los Angeles Chargers after the Cowboys elected to not retain him as their offensive coordinator and play caller. Kellen Moore, I think, is going to do good work with Justin Herbert. Mike McCarthy is going to be calling the plays after Kellen Moore's departure. And according to Sharp Football Analysis, the Cowboys could really miss Mike McCarthy. The loss of Kellen Moore could be significant in the red zone, where Dallas was the best in the league last year. The offense scored a touchdown on 71.4% of red zone trips, and the defense was fifth best, allowing a touchdown on 50% of red zone possessions. The 21.4% red zone differential was the largest in the NFL. And I think that Mike McCarthy calling plays is a step backward for Dallas. He's not as innovative as Kellen Moore is. I think he's a little bit out of touch as an offensive mind. And curiously enough, in an era in which a lot of teams are throwing it a lot, Mike McCarthy wants to run it a lot, with Tony Pollard coming off a bad ankle injury and Ezekiel Elliott not with this team any longer unless they bring him back. Here's what McCarthy had to say about the offense. "I've been where Kellen Moore has been. Kellen wants to light the scoreboard up, but I want to run the damn ball so I can rest my defense. I don't desire to be the number one offense in the league. I want to be the number one team in the league with the number of wins and a championship. And if we got to give up some production and take care of the ball to get better at that, then that's what we'll do." Is Mike McCarthy serious here? Is it 2001 with the Baltimore Ravens with Ray Lewis playing a defensive style of football when Trent Dilfer was their quarterback? What does that also say about Dak Prescott, that Mike McCarthy wants to run it more and throw it less with Dak Prescott? Would he ever say that about Aaron Rodgers? No chance, no how. If you hate the Dallas Cowboys, type F Dallas and like the video right now. This is a team that makes me sick when I see those jerseys. Their fans are so delusional. F Dallas all day, every day. Another key point here is that the schedule gets a lot harder for the Cowboys. Dallas going into 2023 will have the sixth largest jump in schedule difficulty from a year ago. So the Cowboys' opponents are going to get a lot more challenging, and I'm not sure that this team is better than they were last year, which is, of course, a big concern here. And you know what's not a, to put the words in the mouth of Borat, great success, not a great success, is that the Dallas Cowboys have not been to an NFC Championship game in 28 years. So who's to say that Dallas is going to finally come through in a big spot when they haven't done it for damn near 3 decades, and they have this contract dispute with their best offensive lineman in Zach Martin, and I don't think that their skill position depth is anything to write home about, and I think that Dak Prescott played his best football in replacing Tony Romo when they could run the football a lot with Zeke, and they didn't have to pay him all that money, allowing Dallas to pay some other really good players. You look at the Cowboys wide receiver depth chart here. They did trade for Brandon Cooks, who sneakily has been a very productive player for a really long time. But outside of that, Michael Gallup wasn't the same player last year after that knee injury, and then Jalen Tolbert is their wide receiver 4. The Cowboys here are an injury or 2 away from not having a good wide receiving crew. And then they also lost Dalton Schultz in NFL free agency. He signed with the Houston Texans, so now they're not investing in that position at all. They're bottom 5 in the NFL in investing at that tight end spot. Jake Ferguson is their number 1 tight end. Who's that? Peyton Hendershot is their number 2 with Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan, the draft who I actually liked as their tight end number 3. And then they're moving forward here, not with Ezekiel Elliott, but Tony Pollard, who I said last year, Tony Pollard has been the better player as compared to Ezekiel Elliott. But in pass blocking situations and in goal line situations, Ezekiel Elliott's still a pretty productive player. Pollard might be the better running back, but what is the depth here if Pollard goes down? Malik Davis? Deuce Vaughn I really like. He's more of a Darren Sproles type and not an every down, 3 down type of player. Also this is a trend for the Eagles that you have to keep an eye out for when they meet up with Dallas. You get the Cowboys into 3rd down situations. Oftentimes, they are going to fail. Allow me to spit some bars here. What's a good way to stay on the field and extend drives, elongate drives? You avoid 3rd downs. If Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball, Dallas is going to face a lot of 3rd downs. Here's the issue with that, though. Dak threw 15 interceptions last year, 7 of which came on 3rd down. So who's to say that Mike McCarthy is going to look at that and then make the necessary adjustments? I don't think he will. I think this is why the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a disaster this year, and I think this is why Jerry Jones is going to go facepalm once again, and we're going to see another moment in which the Cowboys have an opportunity to rise up, show out in a really big spot, and it's going to result in the Cowboys going home early and having a depressing image like this. Tony Romo in Seattle from several years ago. Eagles Kelly Green jerseys are here, and I sneakily would love to see the Eagles rock these jerseys against the Cowboys. This would be an old school 90s, 80s matchup here. And imagine if the Eagles wore the Kelly Greens for like a color rush game, and then the Cowboys wore those old school blue uniforms. That would be pretty fresh. I'm not going to lie for all the NFC East fans out there. Chatsports.com/Kelly Green. Get your Eagles jerseys right now. So we had a lot of comments coming in. Hashtag #FDallas. Cool Rains tuned in from Australia. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. The last time you were in the Super Bowl, those draft picks weren't even born. My favorite roast for Dallas, thanks to David Akers. David Akers was roasting the Cowboys a few years ago at the draft. Kind of painful for a kicker to be doing that, but David Akers is kind of an Eagles legend, low-key, high-key, right? And anytime you have an opportunity to roast Dallas, you got to take advantage of that opportunity. John Haram, I was born 3 days after the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win. Safe to say, I was a late pregnancy. Couldn't stand to be in a world where the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. Trace, I don't know about you. He might be our commenter MVP just because of the creativity right there. I really like that.
That's elite. That's a great comment from John.
John, good stuff. Let's go to Joseph Daniel here. They will only win the Chunky Soup Bowl. That's good stuff. The creativity is flowing here on the program today. And shout out to Donovan McNabb. Remember Campbell's Soup way back in the day? Him and his mom on all those advertisements. Ernesto! Dallas will never win a Super Bowl, but Dak throwing so many picks, they will never be better than the Eagles. Funny enough, we're roasting the Cowboys here. You also have to be truthful in saying Dak Prescott has actually had a lot of success against Philadelphia. But as Jalen Hurts makes progress, as he gets better, I think that the Eagles, they can run this division for a long time, and finally there could be a repeat division winner for the first time since, 2004? So type F Dallas, like the video. Hope you all enjoyed today's style of show, as well as the content in it, and thanks for supporting us here on Eagles Now, F the Cowboys.